Well, the incident of the ladder to heaven is now over. And Jacob continued to embark on his long journey of over 800 kilometers. That would have taken it about over a week. You see, so there's the gap between the close of Genesis chapter 28 to Genesis 29. So now he arrived in the east. Let's read what it says. Genesis 29, 1 to 5. Then Jacob went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field. And lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth. And there were all the flocks gathered, and they rolled a stone from the well's mouth and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in his place. And Jacob said unto them, My brethren, from where are you? And they said, Of Haran are we. And he said unto them, Know ye Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. You see, Jacob continued his journey with great persistence and just happened to stop at a well a great distance east of Canaan. Actually, in Hebrew, where it says went on his journey, in Hebrew it says he went by foot. Wow, that was quite a long trip. It would have taken him almost 2 weeks to arrive there, going on foot. So, he stopped at a well. And Moses, for effect, says this. He stopped, he was tired, and he looked, and behold, a well in the field. This well was closed by a large stone, probably to keep dust and impurities out, apparently removed only as the flocks and shepherds gathered in the evening. And thither were all the flocks gathered. What was unusual was that the 3 flocks of sheep lying by the well were not being fed. They weren't being watered. It's weird. Yep. This, by the way, we gather, I mean, not from these 5 verses, but we gather that when we read ahead in verse 7, when Jacob says, Yo, lo, it is yet high day. Come on, water the sheep and go and feed them. Jacob said that. He was bold enough to say that. But you see, this well had certain rules. Clearly, everybody was following a certain silent, unspoken protocol. And what's confusing is the wording, isn't it? It says they rolled a stone from the well's mouth and watered the sheep and put the stone back again. Well, what it is actually saying is when the sheep were watered, that's when the stone would be rolled away from the mouth of the well in order to do it. And when the watering was finished, the stone would be put again in the well's mouth. This would be repeated every time all those flocks were watered. Now, as Jacob observed this, he finally spoke. Brethren, my brethren, from where are you? He was asking the keepers of the sheep from where they were. remember the mention of, behold, a well in the field. Here comes that wow moment as they answered, of Haran are we. Can you believe it? The Lord led Jacob all the way and to this particular well. This was the very place for which he was headed. And that's not all. Next he asked them, do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? Though it was actually Bethuel who was Laban's father, it was more prudent, or, to refer to the most prominent ancestor, Nahor. After all, Nahor was Abraham's brother, right? Now their answer was this: we know him. And with that, they meant we know him well. He lives in our city and he is our neighbor. In those days, when you say you know somebody, you definitely know somebody. It's not like when we see a movie star, oh, I know him, and he wouldn't even know you. It's not, they knew him. So, what we conclude from this is Jacob was led by God all the way to where he ought to be, to where both his mom and his dad sent him. Wow. God led him all the way. And to that, all I can say is, to God be the glory. Before I close, can I ask you a question? Do you recognize when God is leading you? Sometimes we don't. And do you recognize when God has led you to salvation? Folks, that's so important. I know that day by day, God is leading me. I don't know where, but I won't regret following.